Let us have a look at this question. Let X and Y be two consumption bundles and assumed to be non-negative and perfectly divisible. Further, the assumptions of completeness, transitivity, reflexivity, and non-situation, continuity, strict convexity, all are satisfied. Which of the following statements or statement, one of the statement is not correct? Either X is at least as good as Y or Y is at least as good as X or both. Now, this is a completeness axiom. And they have said that this is satisfied. So whether you prefer X or you prefer Y or you prefer both means indifferent. Y is strictly preferred to X if Y contains more of at least one good and no less of the other. This is the case of non-satiation, right? So if I have one bundle which has more of one of the good, but same amount of the other good, then I will prefer that bundle. X is not indifferent to itself. This is not possible. Reflexivity is satisfied. So that's what they have also said, that the assumptions, all these assumptions are satisfied. Reflexivity means this, that X is at least as good as itself. For X or Y, its better set is strictly convex. So if this is a strictly convex preference, then its better off set is also strictly convex. So I hope you know this, that strictly convex preferences will have a better off set like this, right? So better off set is this. This entire area is the better off set. And you pick up any 2 points and you join them by line segment. That line segment is going to lie entirely within this set. So this is also true. So the question was, which is not correct? So C is not correct. Consider the following production function. Y is equal to A log L plus 1 minus A log K. And you need to find out the elasticity of substitution. So what I'll do is I'll redo 1 or 2 steps with you. So first of all, you need to find out the MRTS, which is MPL upon MPK. So that is A upon L upon 1 minus A upon K. So that is A upon 1 minus A into K by L. So I've taken the log of both the sides. So it becomes what? Log of MRTS is equal to log of A upon 1 minus A plus log of K by L. And then you take the derivative. Then you take the derivative. So you get this guy. D log of MRTS. Derivative of a constant is 0 plus D log of K by L. And you know that D log of K by L by D log of MRTS, that is nothing but elasticity of substitution, which in this case will come out to be 1. That's the correct answer. Right. Consider a closed economy with a consumption function C as 2 plus 0.5 Y, where Y is the income. Government expenditure is 3. Investment function is this. What is the slope of the IS curve? So Y is equal to C plus I plus G. This is the IS curve equation. In place of C, you have written 2 plus 0.5 Y. In place of I, you have written 4 minus 0.5 R. And G is 3. I've taken the like terms together. I've taken this Y term there. I got 0.5 Y equals to 9 minus 0.5 R. And then I've done nothing. I've just taken the derivative of both the sides. So what will I be getting is 0.5 dy. Derivative of 9 is 0 minus 0.5 dr. So we can write what dr by dy is. And that is the way the slope of the IS curve is going to be found out. R is on the vertical axis and Y is on the horizontal axis. So this is going to be the slope of the IS curve, which is -1. Right. Which of the following was announced in the Union Budget of 2023-24 to enhance the skills of lakhs of youth in the next 3 years? It was Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4. The main idea, it's a flagship scheme for skill certification. And it was launched to help Indian youth so that they can take up skills which are required by industry. So in case if they develop those skills which are required by industry, they can be employed easily by industry and they will have better livelihoods. So D is the right answer. Which of the following was not initiated by the government of India as a part of economic reforms in 1991? Announcement of new industrial policy, it was a part. Full convertibility of rupee on the capital account, this was not the part. We have full convertibility of current account, but we do not have full convertibility of the capital account. So we have a partial convertibility of the capital account. Removal of quantitative restrictions, yes. I mean, that was also the part of economic reforms, removal of non-tariff barriers, and guidelines for investment by foreign institutional investors in the capital market, yes. So that was a part of the globalization program. That is, you should align Indian economy with the rest of the world. So what is not the part? Full convertibility of rupee on the capital account. Suppose nominal GDP equals 1,000 units and money supply is 250 units. Based on the quantity theory of money, the velocity of money is what? So MV equals to PY. This is the quantity theory of money equation. And so you are given with nominal GDP equals to 1,000 units. P into Y equals to 1,000. Right? P into Y equals to 1,000. Money supply is 250. You just need to find out V. So V is what? 1,000 upon 250, which is 4. So 4 is the right answer. Right. Which of the following is not correct? Permanent settlement was introduced by Lord Cornwallis in Bengal. Yes, it was introduced there. First war of Indian independence occurred in 1857. That is also correct. Dadabhi Naroji prepared the estimate of national income in 1860. As soon as I remember, it was 1867 or something, right? 1867, 68. So, and he was the one who was the first one to calculate the national income. And the book which he wrote was Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. So I think the year is wrong. In 1905, so the issue movement was started in India. That was correct. In two-player game, player 1 can choose either M or N as strategies. Player 2 can choose either X, Y, Z as strategies. The payoff matrix is as follows. Now, just have a look at this. Just look at player 2, right? Look at player 2 and look at the strategies X and Z. So 2 is better than 1. 1 is better than 0. So player 2 will never play X. This thing has gone. Now you have only this matrix. Now look for player 1. Player 1. So 1 is better than 0. 0.5 is better than -1. So player 1 is not going to play M in this reduced matrix. Now player 1 can only play N. And player 2 has a choice between Y and Z. So player 2 will be choosing between 3 and 1. So definitely he will choose 3. So 1 comma 3. That is N comma Y is the right answer. This is by iterated elimination of strictly dominated strategies. For the profit maximizing monopolist, the ratio of the profit margin to price, known as the learner's index or the relative markup, has a relationship with the price elasticity of demand and the profit maximizing price. So that relationship is this. P minus MC upon P equals to 1 upon elasticity of demand. Now, that is this is the markup over the price, relative markup over the price. Absolute markup is P minus MC. Relative markup is P minus MC upon P. That is a relative markup. And we are saying that this has a negative relationship with the elasticity of demand, right? So if you have a market in which has lower elasticity of demand, it means that the demand is more urgent. So monopolists will have more power to set the price above the cost. Well, if elasticity is very high, it means there are other substitutes available. So monopolists will not have much power to set the price over the cost, right? One thing is that. Second, you also know this that at equilibrium, monopolist equilibrium is going to occur at MR equals to MC. So I can write MR as P into 1 minus 1 upon modulus of elasticity. Now just imagine this. If your modulus of elasticity is going to be less than 1, that is you have inelastic demand. You will have negative MR. Negative MR cannot be equal to positive MC. MC can't be negative. It could be either 0 or positive, right? So you can monopolists can only function if you have elastic demand, right? These two are different things, right? So on the given demand curve, monopolist will never ever work on the inelastic portion. If he is having two products, let's say, but for his own product, let's say, his demand is inelastic. He has more power to set the price above the cost, right? So the larger is the elasticity of demand at the profit maximizing price, greater is the relative markup. No, lower is the relative markup. More is the elasticity of demand means you have less power to set the price above the cost. More substitutes are available. The power to sustain a price higher than the marginal cost depends only on the profit maximizing price. No. The power to sustain a price higher than the marginal cost depends only on profit. It also depends upon elasticity of demand, right? At the profit maximizing price, given costs are greater than zero, the price elasticity of demand is strictly larger than strictly larger than unity. This is correct. You can only function at modulus of E greater than 1, because at modulus of E less than 1, MR is not equal to MC. You will not have a profit maximizing price. So this is correct, right? So 17th May you have C. To study the sample, to study the effect of X1 and X2 on Y, the following regression model is estimated using a large sample, right? Y equals to alpha plus beta 1 X1 plus beta 2 X2 plus epsilon. Then your TC is equal to one thing you should know, you are given with the alpha, beta 1 and beta 2, right? You're also given with the estimates, alpha hat, beta 1 hat, beta 2 hat. You're also given with their standard errors. I hope you remember that the calculated TC is this. So for alpha, it will be alpha hat upon standard error of alpha hat. For beta, it is beta 1 hat upon standard error of beta 1 hat, and so on. So I've calculated this. So for alpha, estimated TC is 2. For beta, estimated TC, for beta 1, estimated TC is 3. For beta 2, estimated TC is 1.8, right? The only thing which you have to remember is that these significance level, 10%, 5%, and 1%. So these are your critical T star. So just have a look at this. Alpha is statistically significant at 5% level. At 5% level, okay, alpha's T is 2, and this is greater than the 5% level. Yes, 2 is greater than 1.96. So it is statistically significant at 5% level. So if you reject the null hypothesis of no significance, if the calculated T is more than critical T, so you have this thing here. Beta 1 is statistically significant at 1% level. Beta 1 is statistically significant at 1% level. So you have calculated T as 3 and the critical T is 2.58. So 3 is greater than 2.58. So it is statistically significant. You reject the null hypothesis of no significance for beta 1. Beta 2 is statistically significant at 10% level. Beta 2 is 1.8. That is calculated T. And the 10% level of significance is 1.645. So beta 2 is statistically significant. Yes, calculated T is more than the critical T. So this guy is true, right? You can check for the others, they're not true. The main idea is that you have to reject a null hypothesis if calculated T is more than the critical T. Suppose high quality and low quality products are sold at the same price of the buyers. The buyers have less information to determine the quality of the product compared to the sellers at the time of the purchase. Buyers have less information. Which of the following problem arises in the situation? So this we used to do in used car market. Supposedly, I am the seller and you guys are the buyers. And I know about the quality of the used car which I have, which I am trying to sell, but you guys don't know, right? So this is an adverse selection problem. when buyers have less information to determine the quality of the product compared to the sellers at the time of the purchase. So this adverse selection problem, right? Okay, individuals who were either unemployed or out of the labor force but had worked for at least 30 days over the reference year were included in the labor force by the NSSO in its labor force surveys. Under which of the following classification does the above procedure appear? So usual principal status is the reference is generally 1 year. For usual principal and subsidiary status, the reference is 30 days. For current weekly status, of course, the reference is 7 days, and current daily status is for 1 day, right? But यहाँ पे भी you have 14 half days. I'm not getting into that. So यहाँ पे वैसे भी what is written is for at least 30 days over the reference year were included in the labor force. So this is usual principal and subsidiary status, right? Okay, let the production function be given by this guy, which is given to you. This is the production function. And you're also given with the values of alpha and beta. If the growth rate of y is equal to 10%, so growth rate of y means y dot by y is equal to 10%. Growth rate of k, that means k dot by k is equal to 5%. Growth rate of h, that means h dot by h is equal to 5%. And growth rate of L, that means L dot by L is equal to 10%. Then what is the growth rate of A? So what I'll do is I'll do 1 or 2 steps again with you. So you just take up, just take the log of both the sides. Log of IT is log of AT plus alpha. Log of KT plus beta. Log of HT plus 1 minus alpha minus beta log of LT. So what you have to do is that you have to take the time log derivatives, right? So the way you take the time log derivatives is like this. So you differentiate this with respect to time. D log y by dt. D log A by dt alpha. D log K by dt plus beta. D log H by dt. 1 minus alpha minus beta d log L by dt. Right? And then you just differentiate. So what will you get? Log y का derivative क्या होगा? 1 upon y into derivative of y का derivative क्या होगा with respect to 2 with respect to t dy by dt. So I hope you understand this. So once I differentiate log y, I'll get what? 1 upon y. And when you differentiate y with respect to t, what will you get? Dy by dt. So same thing. Similarly, this 1 upon a dA by dt plus alpha d log k by dt करोगे तो log k का derivative क्या? 1 upon k. K का derivative with respect to time क्या? dk by dt and so on. Beta into 1 upon h dh by dt plus 1 minus alpha minus beta into 1 upon L dl by dt. dy by dt को y dot लिखते हैं, which is the instantaneous change in y. And when you differentiate this with respect to y, what you get is the growth rate in y. dy by dt is instantaneous change in y. And dy by dt by y is what? Proportional change in y or the growth rate in y. So it is y dot by y equals to a dot by a plus alpha k dot by k plus beta h dot by h plus 1 minus alpha minus beta L dot by L. And then you just plug in these values, which we have just written above. And you need to find out the value for A. So A dot by A comes out to be 3. That is 3%, right? A dot by A comes out to be 3. Consider an economy where the technology is characterized by the production function y is equal to this guy, 50k to the power 0.4, L to the power 0.6. Assuming perfect competition in the product market and in the factor market, the share of the total income paid to the labor is equal to what? So I hope you know this, that share of the labor is given by this exponent. Share of capital is given by this exponent, right? So that is the idea. So just say in case if supposedly I have this expression given to me, I have this thing, let's say like this. So we know this, that MPL equal to W because of this condition, assuming perfect competition in the product market and in the factor market. So I'll find out what MPL is. 1 minus alpha L to the power 1 minus alpha minus 1. L to the power minus alpha, right? So what we are saying is this. What we are saying is this. So we are saying that this MPL we are saying that this MPL is equal to W. Okay. So what is the total wage bill? W into L. यही होगा ना? यही होगा? So what will that be? K to the power alpha L to the power 1 minus alpha. यही होगा बेटा? This is what wage bill is. So can I write this WL as 1 minus alpha? And what is this guy? This is Y, your production function. And if I need to find out what is WL upon Y, that is the share of total income which is paid. W into L is the total income paid to the laborers. Upon Y is the share of total income paid to the labor. What will that be? This. So what is 1 minus alpha? 0.6. This is what is this 1 minus alpha? That is the exponent over labor, right? So what is that? That is 0.6. So 0.6 is the right answer. 0.6 is the right answer. I hope, is this clear? In a two-player game, player 1 can choose either U or D. Player 2 can choose either L or R. C be the real number such that C is positive, but it is less than 1. Then if the pair, if the payoff matrix is this, okay. So if player 1 plays U, player 2 will choose 0 or minus C, 0. If player 2 is going to choose L, player 1 is going to choose 0 or minus C, 0. So this is surely one Nash equilibria, UL. If player 1 is going to choose D, then player 2 will have a choice between 0 or 1 minus C. But 1 minus C is positive, na? C is greater than 0 but less than 1. So 1 minus C is positive. So player 2 is going to choose 1 minus C. Okay. If player 2 is going to choose R, player 1 will have a choice between 0 and 1 minus C. What is player 1 going to choose? 1 minus C, it is positive. So this is also Nash equilibria. So there are two Nash equilibrias. One is U comma L. Another is D comma R. Another is D comma R. So there are how many Nash equilibria? Pure strategy Nash equilibria? Two. So there are two pure strategy Nash equilibrias. The Rangarajan panel on 4 June 1993 submitted recommendations related to the balance of payment, which of the following was not the part. So it submitted its recommendation, and yes, I mean they recommended equity over debt. That's what they did. So it was the part, right? तुमको mark करना है which was not the part. The ratio of debt linked to equity should be limited to 1 is to 4. Now, this is not what they have recommended. They have recommended that yes, debt should be preferred over equity. Oh, sorry, equity should be preferred over debt. But they have not recommended what should be that ratio, right? The minimum targets of foreign reserves should be fixed in such a way that the reserves are generally in position to accommodate imports of 3 months. Now you have to remember that this is coming from where? I mean, in 1991 crisis, uh, at the peak of the crisis, at the peak of the crisis, we had imports which can we had foreign exchange reserves which can last only for 15 days of imports. So we do not want to get into that situation. No sovereign guarantee should be extended to the private sector. That's fine. So the main thing which was not there was the ratio of debt linked to the equity should be limited to 1 is to 4. According to the State of Inequality in India report from the Institute of Competitiveness released on 18th of May 2022, which of the following statements is correct, right? Okay. So which of the following statement is correct? Okay. In India, the percentage of anemic children has decreased. Now, uh, this is not decreased, right? It might have increased. You can see JV Meenakshi's paper also. So you'll get some idea how it has increased. The female labor force participation rate in India has increased from this. No, it has not increased. Uh, it has not increased. So we do not want. So you can see, uh, even if you don't know the exact percentages, you should have some idea. Okay, female labor force participation is low and it is not increasing. That's enough for us to know. If you can remember the data, that's nothing like that. Using the data from PLFS, the report shows that the individuals with the monthly salary of 25,000 are among the top 10 percentage of total wage earners. That's correct, right? Uh, that seems to be correct. By the end of 2019, 95% of all schools in India will have a functional toilet for girls. Now, 95% would mean almost all. So this doesn't seem correct. So even if you don't know this exactly, so by way of elimination, you can eliminate A, B, and D. So you can mark C. Consider the production function Q is equal to this guy, 2 root K plus 3 root L ka square. And if these are the output elasticities with respect to the capital and labor respectively, then what is the value of this sum? Now, your elasticity of output with respect to capital would be what? Del Q by del K into K by Q. So I hope it is easy for you. So just finding out that elasticity. 2 root K plus 3 root L. ठीक है? That is del Q by del K. But you will also have to differentiate this guy. Now have to differentiate this 2 root Q also. So 2 upon root K. Okay. Into this thing K by Q. Q is what? A square. I hope now when you will calculate it, you will be getting this. So elasticity is this guy. Your elasticity for capital is this guy. For labor, how will you find out? Just again differentiate this. 2 root K plus 3 root L is 2 root K plus 3 root L. Now differentiate this 3 root L. 3 upon 2 root L. This is del Q by del L. Into Q by into L by Q. What is Q? Oh, your 2 root K plus 3 root L ka square. Now once you will calculate this, you'll be getting this expression for elasticity of labor. And once you add it, you'll be getting 1. And that was the answer. Consider a short-run Phillips curve with a constant expected rate of inflation. If the aggregate demand decreases unexpectedly and the labor force remains same, then what will happen to the aggregate price and the unemployment rate? So pi t equals to pi t plus mu plus z minus alpha ut. Now, if pi t is constant and let's say aggregate demand is going to decrease, right? This is going to affect the inflation definitely. That is, if demand is going to decrease, prices are going to decrease, inflation is going to decrease, and the relationship between inflation and unemployment is negative. So inflation is going to decrease, unemployment is going to rise. You can also see it from the point of view of ADAS diagram. So you have ADAS, and supposedly AD has decreased. So prices are going to fall and quantity is going to fall. And if quantity is going to fall, you will be employing less people. So if you're going to employ less people, that means unemployment is going to rise. So B is the correct answer, right? Suppose the price elasticity of demand is minus 1 by 5 and the price elasticity of supply is 2 by 5. The incidence of the specific or unit tax of the firm is also the formula is modulus of elasticity of demand upon modulus of elasticity of demand plus elasticity of supply. So just plug in the values. 1 by 5 upon 1 by 5 plus 2 by 5 is 1 by 3. So you need to remember the formula for this, right? So the answer is 1 by 3. Suppose expected inflation rate of an individual is formed as this. Okay. Pi et is equal to 1 minus theta pi bar plus theta pi t minus 1, where pi bar is the constant inflation rate. Pi t minus 1 is the previous year's inflation rate, and theta is the weight assigned to the inflation rate at different points of time. Which of the following is not correct? If theta is equal to 0, then the individual assumes a constant inflation rate. That's right. Because if theta is 0, you will have what? Pi t equals to pi bar. Pi et equals to is equal to pi bar. So this is correct. We have to answer not correct. If theta is equal to 1 and pi is less than pi t minus 1, pi bar is less than pi t minus 1. So if theta is equal to 1, so this term has gone, right? Individual expects this year's inflation to be similar to last year. So I've written theta equals to it is, even if it is very very near to 1, तो भी इसका कोई मतलब नहीं है, मतलब इसका weight खत्म हो गया है, and pi t would be approximately equal to pi t minus 1. So this is also correct. The original Phillips curve is derived under the assumption that theta is approximately equal to 1. No, it was derived under the assumption that theta is equal to 0. So this is not correct. A modified Phillips curve is derived under the assumption that theta equals to 1. That's correct. In case of a small open economy with fixed exchange rate regime and imperfect capital mobility, which of the following is or are correct? Fiscal contraction will lead to BOP deficit in the short run if the slope of LM is greater than the slope of BP. So BP is flatter than LM. Just have a look at this. So your IS, LM, BP, they are all intersecting at point A. And there is a fiscal contraction which is going on. So IS curve will shift to the left and economy will move to the right, will move to the left from A to B. BOP deficit hai, right? So because there is deficit, people in your country will think it is better to invest abroad. So they will go with their Indian rupee to the central bank and ask for dollars. And central bank is going to take Indian rupee from them and will give them dollars. So the moment they take central bank is going to take Indian rupee from people, money supply is going to fall, and internal external equilibrium is going to reach at point C. So this is a case of BOP deficit. So this is correct. Fiscal contraction will lead to BOP deficit in the short run if the slope of the LM is less than the slope of is less than the slope of the BOP curve. So BP is steeper than LM. So this is this case. So initially equilibrium is at point A where all three curves are intersecting, and fiscal contraction happens. Economy moves from A to B, right? Economy moves from A to B. So this is a BOP surplus wala case. So people in foreign country, they think it is better to invest in your country. So they will take their dollars and will come to the central bank, RBI, and will ask for Indian rupee. The moment central bank is going to take dollars from from RBI, from foreign investors, and will give them Indian rupee, LM curve is going to shift out, right, till this point, where internal external equilibrium is going to be met. So this was the case of surplus. So this is not correct. Monetary expansion leads to BOP surplus in the short run, irrespective of the slopes of the LM and the BP curve. Monetary expansion, leads to the BOP surplus in the short run, irrespective of the slope of the LM and the BP curve. Okay. So we have shown this is the case of monetary expansion, right? So you're sitting at point A, and there is a monetary expansion which occurs. So economy moves from A to B. It is a case of BOP deficit. So people in your country will think it is better to invest abroad. So they will take Indian rupee to the central bank and ask for dollars. The moment central bank is going to take Indian rupee from them, money supply is going to fall and economy will move back to A. So this was the case of deficit. So C is not correct. D may, you can also check for when BOP is steeper. D may, monetary expansion leads to BOP deficit in the short run, irrespective of the slope of the LM and the BP curve. So एक तो यही है, ये वाला case. So I've shown BP as flatter than LM. So this is the case of BOP deficit. I've also shown BP as steeper than LM. Here also, in case of monetary expansion occurs, at B there is deficit. People in your country will think it is better to invest abroad. So they will take their Indian rupee and ask for dollar from the central bank. Central bank is going to take Indian rupee from them. The moment it takes Indian rupee from them, your money supply is going to fall. And it will fall back till point A, right? So this is correct. So D is correct, C is incorrect. So A and D are correct. Let us have a look at this question. Consider the following three utility functions. Function 1, 4x1 plus 2x2. So what is the MRS for this? You know this, that df is equal to 4 dx1 plus 2 dx2, right? But the point is that utility is not going to change along an indifference curve. Right. So what is going to be dx2 by dx1? So it is 4 dx1 is equal to minus 2 dx2. So what is dx2 by dx1 is minus 2. So that is what the MRS is for the first one. For the min one, you cannot find out MRS at the king point, and you know that the consumption is going to occur at 4x1 equals to 2x2. That is, the kink is at 2x1 equals to x2. So consumption is going to occur at this particular point. And for this guy, the MRS is given by del h by del x1 upon del h by del x2. Minus of that. So it is minus 1 upon 2 root x1. Right? So this comes out to be like this. So in the first one, the marginal rate of substitution is given by minus 1 for f. No, it is minus 2. So this is definitely not correct. So you want to check, you can check later, but pehla wala hi sahi nahi hai, so it's gone. If P1 is equal to P2, then the utility maximization problem for the utility function f is given by what? So I hope you understand this, that this guy is the budget constraint. It has a slope of P1 by P2 in absolute value. P1 by P2 equals to 1. So P1 equals to P2 means what? P1 by P2 equals to 1. These are the indifference curves. In absolute value, the slope of MRS, slope of the indifference curve is 2. So indifference curves, they are shown steeper than the slope of the budget line. So given this budget line, we're just asking, is this the highest red indifference curve you can draw? Is this the highest red indifference curve you can draw? Is this the highest red indifference curve you can draw? Yes. So you are consuming where? You're consuming all of x and nothing of y. Now just see. With the utility function f has a corner solution? Yes. So it is correct. If income is 100 and P1, P2 are both equal to 2, then in the utility maximization problem, with the utility function g, the sum of the optimal values, sum, not just x1, x2, sum of the optimal values is this. So I hope you know this, that my kink is going to occur at 2x1 equals to x2. P1 x1 plus P2 x2 equals to MA. So in place of x2, I can write 2x1. And I will get x1 star as this guy. M upon P1 plus 2P2. And what is x2 star equals to for this function? It will be 2m upon 2p1 plus p2. No? Sorry, 2m upon p1 plus 2p2. And you can just substitute the values. So you just place 100 in case of income. P1, P2 are both 2. So you get x1 star is 100 by 6 and x2 star is 2 of x1. That is 200 by 6. So you add just this. 100 upon 6 plus 200 upon 6 will give you 50. And that's what they have written. So this is correct. If income is 100, P1 is 5, P2 is 5,000, then in the utility maximization problem with the utility function h, the optimal value of x2 is this. Optimal value of x2. Your function was root of x1 plus x2. Root of x1 plus x2, right? So just think about it. Once you do MRS equals to price ratio, I will be getting MRS. I have just found out the absolute value of MRS is 1 upon 2 root x1. Absolute value of the slope of the budget line is P1 by P2. And P1, P2 I've just written 5 upon 5,000. And once you calculate it, you will get x1 is equal to 500 square, right? X1 equals to 500 square. Now, I don't think that's the way it is. That is, you won't be able to consume this, right? And the optimal, in case if you don't consume x1, then the optimal value of x2 is what? You have all the income which is left to consume x2. Uh, that is 5,000 upon this 100 upon 5,000. That is also not possible. So this is not correct. Are you with me? So you are getting x1 as 500 square. And in order to consume this much of x1, how much income you require? What is going to be your expenditure? 5 into 500 square, right? So that is not what your income is. Fair enough. So this is not correct. So answer is B and C. The characteristics of pure public good is or are pure public goods, they are non-rival in consumption and they're non-excludable in consumption. So you cannot exclude anyone. You can't, they are not rival also in consumption. Consider a hypothetical economy where only apples and oranges are produced. And which of the following is or are correct? So you're given with 3 years, 2015, 16, and 17. So you need to find out the real GDP for in the year 2017. Base year is 2016. Is what 4250. So the thing is that you will keep the prices of 2016 only, but the quantities of 2017. That's what I have written. Quantities of 2017 for both apples and oranges, and the prices of 2016 for both apples and oranges. That is what the thing is, that in case if GDP is going to increase, then you say that there is increase in real GDP. It is not because of the increase in prices, but mainly because of the increase in quantity. So that comes out to be 8100. So this is not correct. Real GDP in the year 2016, base year 2015 is what? So now base year is 2015 and the current year is 2016. So you'll keep the prices of the base year of 2015 and the quantities of the current year 2016. And once you do that, you will be getting 5100 as the answer. So that is also not correct. Nominal GDP in the year 2015 is 6600. Nominal GDP for 2015. So prices also of 2015 for both apples and oranges, and quantity also of 2015 for both apples and oranges. That comes out to be 2800, right? Price level as measured by GDP deflator increased in 2017 as compared to 2016. So if 2016 is the base year, so GDP for GDP deflator for 2016 is going to be 100 only. And what is GDP deflator? GDP deflator for 2017 would be real GDP in 2017 upon nominal GDP in nominal GDP in 2017 upon real GDP in 2017 into 100. So I've calculated what the nominal GDP is. So nominal GDP, you know, price in 2017 into quantity in 2017 for both apples and oranges, right? So nominal GDP in 2017 upon real GDP in 2017 into 100. And this is giving you 120.37. Beta, for 2016 it is going to be 100 ना, because अगर 2016 को ही आप अगर बेस ईयर मान रहे हो, वही करंट ईयर भी है, तो नॉमिनल और रियल जीडीपी उसमें सेम ही रहेगा. सो रियल जीडीपी इज गोइंग टू बी 100 ओनली फॉर 2016, but in 2017, not real GDP deflator is going to be 100 for 2016, but for 2017 it is 120.37, so it has increased. So this is correct, right? Which of the following is or are not correct? Under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1938, I think it was 1934. So this is not correct now. So this is not correct. First one. CRR is a statutory reserve requirement to be kept by every scheduled bank with RBI. CRR, cash reserve ratio. Every bank has to keep certain amount of their deposits in cash with RBI. So yes, that's correct. So ये तो आंसर नहीं है अपना, हमको तो not correct mark करना है. A higher SLR increases the capacity of commercial banks to grant loans and advances. Statutory liquidity ratio. So in case if higher SLR is there, uh, you need to keep more amount of your deposits as deposits or reserves as cash with you. Now you can't. So it is going to decrease your capacity to loan. It is going to decrease your capacity to create secondary money. So no, it is not going to increase your capacity. It is going to rather decrease your capacity, right? So you can say a high SLR can be considered as a tax on the banking system. That is correct. So not correct is ANC. Not correct is ANC. Huh? Okay. According to Niti Aayog's National Multidimensional Poverty Index, a progress review 2023, which of the following is or are correct? Now, uh, think about it this way. Um, Try to have a little story correct in your head, right? So rural areas in India have experienced fastest decline in the percentage of multidimensional poverty from 35.59% in 2015-16 to 21.28% in 2019-21. Numbers are not correct. There is a fall, but this seems to be a very steep fall. The incidence of poverty in urban areas in India has increased. No, it has not increased. It has decreased, right? So ये भी correct नहीं है. A decline in India's multidimensional poverty index in 2019-21 is due to improvement in all 12 indicators. Yes. So there is no indicator which is there in the multidimensional poverty which has not improved. So whether you call different kinds of assets, whether you call health indicators, whether you call income indicators, in all cases there is a fall. At the national level, there is decline in the intensity of poverty between 2015 and 2015-16 and 2019-21 as per multidimensional. That also seems to be fine. Now, you may require some knowledge of numbers also, but in general, just keep a story clear in your head. Okay, multidimensional poverty would have declined. Uh, and that is true for both rural and the urban areas. So C and D seems to be correct. A firm is a production function that is homogeneous of degree 1 given by this guy. The unit price of labor is 4 and the unit price of capital is 16. Assume that there is zero fixed cost. The total long run cost of producing 10 units of Q is what? So I have just set up the Lagrange. So I want to minimize my cost. My cost minimization objective is WL plus RK. W is 4 and R is 16. 4L plus 16. And I want to minimize this subject to the production which I want to produce. So I want to minimize this guy subject to this. So I want to produce this level. I want to produce this level, right? So del L by del L, I want to find out three partial derivatives, one with respect to L, other with respect to K, other with respect to lambda, and that's what you have done. So dividing first by second, I get this expression, 4K equals to L. And I can substitute this back in the third expression. So Q is equal to 2 root of LK. L ki jagah I can write 4K. And once I find this out, I get K is equal to 4K. Q is equal to 4K. So what is K equals to? Q by 4. What is L equals to? L is 4Q, right? L is 4Q. L is, yeah, what was L? L is 4K, right? So in place of K, you can write Q by 4. So what is L equals to Q? अब मेरा कॉस्ट क्या है बेटा? 4L प्लस आर के. L कितना निकाला है तुमने? Q. K कितना है? What is K equals to? Q by 4. So once you calculate this, you get as 8Q. अब तुमको 10 यूनिट्स के लिए देखना है. So Q की जगह 10 लिख दो. This gives you 80. So 80 units. That's the answer. Right? Suppose Indian company borrowed $300 from a foreign bank at the beginning of the year and repaid it in dollars along with the agreed interest rate of 12% per annum. At the time of borrowing, the exchange rate was 70 per dollar. Assuming zero inflation rate in both the countries, the real cost of borrowing will be zero. The exchange rate is dash per dollar at the time of repayment. So how much you have borrowed? $300. What is the rate of interest? 12%. What is the exchange rate? 70 rupees for $1. So in case of repayment, you will be repaying $300 which you have borrowed, and you will also be repaying the interest rate, 300 into 12%. And this comes out to be $336. If you convert these $300 in rupees, so you use exchange rate is $1 equal to 70 rupees. So $300 is equal to 21,000 rupees, right? There won't be any, the real cost of borrowing will be zero. मतलब अगर तुम्हारे को कोई real cost of borrowing is going to be zero, assuming the inflation rate is zero in both the countries, real cost of borrowing will be zero. अगर basically I have 21,000 rupees upon $336, which is this, and what I get is 62.5 rupees per dollar. अगर exchange rate 70 रुपीज पर डॉलर से 62.5 रुपीज पर डॉलर हो जाए, तो मैंने जो $300 लिए थे बस मैं उतने ही वापस कर रहा हूं इन रियल टर्म्स ऑफ कोर्स. ठीक है. सो इट इज 62.5 रुपीज पर डॉलर. Inverse demand function for the commodity is P is equal to e to the power minus x2, where x is the quantity, P is the price. Then price at 0.5, consumer surplus is equal to ta. So at P equal to 0.5, what is going to be x? So भाई मेरा ये था demand function, P is equal to e to the power minus x2. In place of P, I have written 0.5. And this is e to the power minus x2. Take log of both the sides. Log of 1 by 2 could be written as minus of log 2. And log of e to the power k is nothing but k. So it is minus x by 2. So what is x equals to 2 log 2? पहली चीज. So when the price is 0.5, this quantity demanded is 2 log 2. पहले तो ये ध्यान रखो. ठीक है. And consumer surplus is this area, ये वाला area. So I need to find this area ना. Okay. तो मैं क्या करूंगा? From 0 to this area, I'll find out, actually I'm finding out this entire area. ये जो इंटीग्रल है ये तो मुझे 0 से 2 log 2 के बीच में का एंटायर एरिया दे देगा, माइनस दिस एरिया, ये जो रेक्टेंगल है वही तो कंज्यूमर सरप्लस, ये शेडेड एरिया है. ये इंटीग्रल मुझे 0 से 2 log 2 के बीच का एंटायर एरिया दे देगा, तो इसमें से मुझे इसको माइनस करना पड़ेगा ना. So once I do that, I hope you can solve this. It will be minus 2 e to the power minus x by 2 upon 1. That is the integral of this. And once you use this guy, your different integral, You will be left out with this 2 minus 2 e to the power minus log 2 minus log 2. So ये minus log 2 को मैं कैसे लिख सकता हूँ? Log of 1 by 2, right? So e to the power log k is also k. So मैं 2 into 1 by 2 ये चीज गया, so it is 1 minus 2 log 2. So if you calculate what log 2 is, so 1 minus log 2 की value will come out to be 0.307 का हो या 0.31 का हो, अगर 2 decimal places तक का है तो, right? So this is the way you'll have to solve this. A manufacturer produces pens, has the following information regarding the cost of the production of the pens. Okay, so you're given with the output, you're given with the total cost. If the total cost function is of the form AQ square plus BQ plus C, where A, B, C are constant, the value of TC at Q equals to 4 is what? Okay. भाई एक बात बताओ, you are given with this AQ square plus BQ plus C. मैं एक करके बताता हूँ. TC of output 1 क्या होगा? AQ square, Q1 है ना, प्लस Q1 है प्लस C, यही होगा ना? This is what TC is, and that is given to you as 4. TC of output 2 क्या होगा? AQ square plus BQ plus C, यही होगा 4A plus 2B plus C, and that is equal to the cost which is given to you. And similarly for output level of 3. So can I subtract TC2 from TC1 from TC2? Yes, I can. Can I subtract TC2 from TC3? Yes, I can. I will be having two equations. And once I'll solve these two equations, I'll be getting A as 5 and B as minus 6. And substitute A as 5 and B as minus 6 in either of these equations. You'll be getting this. पहली वाली equation में डाल दो A plus B plus C is equal to 4 में. So you have 5 minus 6 plus C equals to 4. So C equals to 5. ठीक है, पहली बात तो ये. अब आ गया तुम्हारे पास ये. अब तो कुछ भी नहीं है. What do you have to do? भाई क्या था? TC4 कैसे लिखोगे? AQ square प्लस BQ प्लस C. मतलब A क्या वैल्यू है? 5. Q स्क्वायर कितना है? 4 स्क्वायर. B क्या वैल्यू है? -6. Q कितना है? 4. C कितना है? 5. Right? So once you do that, you will be getting the value as 61. So that's the right answer. Everyone? Consider the information given in the table below. Unemployment rate is given, number of unemployed people are given, labor force participation rate is given. The percentage change in the working age population from 2010 to 2020. Unemployment rate. Unemployment rate क्या होता है? Unemployment rate is number of people who are unemployed upon total labor force into 100. That is the unemployment rate, and this is given to you as 15 in 2010. ये याद रहेगा. तो यहां से मैं लेबर फोर्स की वैल्यू निकाल सकता हूं ना. दिस इज लेबर फोर्स की वैल्यू. ऐसी इन 2020 नंबर ऑफ पीपल हु आर अनएम्प्लॉयड अपॉन टोटल लेबर फोर्स इनटू 100, इट इज गिवन टू यू एस 20. यहां से लेबर फोर्स की वैल्यू आ जाएगी 2020 में. ठीक है जी. लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन रेट. लेबर फोर्स पार्टिसिपेशन रेट इज टोटल लेबर फोर्स अपॉन वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन इनटू 100. राइट. Total labor force upon working age population into 100. So total labor force 2010 में कितनी थी? 200. Upon working age population तुमको find out करनी है. And labor force participation rate is given to you. So you can find out ना. Similarly, you can find out for 2020 also. Right? तो तुम ये वैल्यूज डाल सकते हो ना कि अगर मैं चेंज इन वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन देखूं तो वर्किंग एज इन 2020 which you have found out minus working age in 2010 which you have found out upon working age in 2010. This is going to give you this. So this is the change in working age population. You with me? So you are given with C, YD is disposable income, autonomous investment, government expenditure, income tax rate, the equilibrium level of consumption in the economy. So Y is equal to C plus I plus G. C की जगह 250 plus 0.25 Y minus T. This is nothing but capital T equals to T into Y. Tax rate given है ना, so you'll write it like that. Plus the value of investment plus the value of government expenditure. फिर यहीं पे टैक्स रेट की जगह लिख दिया 0.2. So you got as y minus 0.2y 0.8y. No? Up to you can just solve this expression and you'll be getting y as 500. The moment you have y as 500, you can substitute it here. क्या था वो? Consumption was 250 plus 1 by 4 y minus t. Y to 500 था minus t. T is small t into y. Small t कितना था? 20% into y. Y कितना था? 500. Once you solve this, you'll get as 350. An individual owns a mobile phone currently valued at 40,000 rupees. The current wealth of the individual is rupees 2 lakh. According to report, there is a 20% chance of mobile phone theft, and an actuarially fair insurance policy is available to insure the loss of the mobile phone against a theft. The individual's von Neumann Morgenstern utility function is given by U equals to root W. Then the maximum willingness to pay for such an actuarially fair insurance policy is this. अच्छा, इसमें दो तीन चीजें हैं. पहले तो अपने को ये पता होना चाहिए that what is the actually fair insurance premium अगर होता है तो. So what is the actually fair insurance premium? Probability of loss into loss, right? Probability of loss into loss. So that comes out to be 8,000. That comes out to be 8,000. पहली बात तो ये. Okay. अब देखिए आगे. In case if you buy, if you do not buy the policy, let us say you do not buy such a policy, so तुम्हारी expected utility क्या होगी? Probability that the phone is lost into expected utility when phone is lost. So initial wealth में से loss को minus करोगे plus probability when there is no theft. In that case कोई loss minus नहीं होगा, your wealth is intact. पता ना बेटा, 1/5 के साथ फोन लॉस्ट हुआ and what you get is initial wealth minus loss plus 4/5 के साथ फोन लॉस नहीं हुआ and what you get is 2 lakh and the value is 437.77, right? And what is the certainty equivalent for this? So certainty equivalent is कि the same utility which I am going to get from a certain level of wealth which I am going to get by the gamble. So ये तो gamble ही है ना, accident is like a gamble. So इस gamble से मेरे को कितनी utility मिल रही है? 437. तो ऐसी कौन सी utility होगी जो कि मुझे मेरी wealth दे दे without indulging in a gamble? So that is your certainty equivalence. मेरा utility function क्या है? Root of W, right? So that is equal to this. So this expected utility, and I'll get my wealth. I can also get the expected value of the gamble. 0 to 20% chance के साथ there is going to be theft, right? So आपकी wealth कितनी रह गई? 2 lakh minus 40,000, that is 1,60,000. 0.8 के साथ wealth जो theft नहीं हुआ, आपकी wealth कितनी रह गई? पूरी की पूरी. यहाँ पे 2% चांस के साथ wealth, सॉरी 2% चांस के साथ theft हुआ है, तो तुम्हारी wealth में से फोन की वैल्यू निकाल दी जाएगी. इट इज 160,000. 0.8%, 0.8 के साथ थेफ्ट नहीं हुआ, तुम्हारी वेल्थ इंटैक्ट एंड यू गेट दिस एक्सपेक्टेड वैल्यू. right? You get this expected value. The difference between expected value and the certainty equivalent is what the risk premium is, right? Actually, risk premium is 8,000, which you have just calculated. But the person is risk averse. You can see root of WN as the function. So he's a risk averse individual. So he is willing to pay even more than the actually fair insurance premium. So 8,000 plus this guy, 357.43. And what you get is this 8357. What you get is this 8357. So this is what he's going to give. Okay, consider the following AK model where the production function is given by y equals to AK, where y is the output and K is capital, A is the constant that reflects the level of technology. There is zero technological progress and the A is 0.5. In the economy, the savings rate is 0.6, depreciation rate is 0.05. The population growth rate equals 0 and the size of the labor force is normalized to 1. Based on the AK model, the steady state growth rate of the output per capita in the economy equals to this. So you know that the steady state growth rate is given by this expression. Small s into A minus n plus delta. So small s is what? 0.6. A is given to you is this guy, 0.5. Then delta is given to you as 0.05 depreciation rate and the population growth rate is 0. So what you get is 0.25. That is 25%. That's an answer. A consumer's utility function is given by this guy. If the consumer has a budget of 73 and the unit prices of x1 and x2 are given by 2 and 1 respectively, then what is the value of x1 plus x2? So x1 star भी निकालना है, x2 star भी निकालना है, right? Beta, you know this that you need to maximize this expression subject to this budget constraint. Price of x1 into x1 plus price of x2 is 1 into x2 is equal to income. अच्छा, तुमको दो बातें और तुम्हारे को पता है, हमने करा था स्टोन गेरी यूटिलिटी फंक्शन टाइप्स वाला भी, इसके अंदर ये यू कैन सी 2x1 minus 1 है ना. So when this is going to be equal to 0, when x1 is equal to half. So x1 equals to half is the subsistence level. जैसे यहां पे x2 equals to 4 is the subsistence level. तो इतना तो खर्च करना ही है, इतना तो कंज्यूम करना ही है, otherwise your utility is going to be negative. I need at least half amount of x1 and I need at least 4 amount of x2. ये पहली बात है, इतना खर्चा तो करना है. ये खर्चा होगा कितना? Half amount of x1 will come at 2 into half. Price of x1 is 2. 4 amount of x2 will come at 1 into 4. ठीक है? So this thing comes out to be 5. ये इतना पैसा तो खर्च करना पड़ेगा. तो तुम्हारी इनकम में से ये 5 जब माइनस करोगे तो 68 आ जाएगा. दिस इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड सुपर एनुअरी इनकम. ये बची हुई इनकम है. नाउ यू आर फ्री टू स्पेंड इट इन विच एवर वे यू लाइक. ठीक है. अच्छा, दूसरी बात, तुमको याद है ना कॉब डगलस के अंदर व्हेन वी राइट इट लाइक दिस, सो हाउ डू वी राइट एक्स स्टार? अल्फा अपॉन अल्फा प्लस बीटा m upon p1. What is y star? Beta upon alpha plus beta m upon p2. No? So अब बेटा जी यहां पे अल्फा क्या है? What is alpha here? 1/4 upon 1/4 plus 3/4. What is income here? 68. जो बची हुई इनकम है वही तो खर्चा करोगे. What is P1 here? 2. आ गया x1 स्टार. कितना है ये? 8.5. What is x2 स्टार? बीटा अपॉन अल्फा प्लस बीटा. बीटा कितना है? 3/4 अपॉन 1/4 प्लस 3/4 इंटू इनकम कितनी है? 68 अपॉन P2 कितना है? 51. P2 कितना था? 150. हाँ? अब तुम कितना x1 कंज्यूम कर रहे हो भाई? 8.5 तो यहाँ पे कंज्यूम कर रहे हो, और 0.5 पहले भी तो कंज्यूम करा था सब्सिस्टेंस लेवल, तो तुम्हारा कितना कंजम्पशन हुआ x1 का? 9। फिर तुम x2 यहाँ पे कितना कंज्यूम कर रहे हो? 51। तो पहले भी तो शायद 4 यूनिट्स कंज्यूम करे थे ना, तो अब कितना हुआ है? 55। तो टोटल कितना हुआ? 9 + 55, 64। राइट? An industry has 6 firms, this guy, in Kurno competition. Each of the 6 firms has zero fixed cost and the constant marginal cost equal to 20. The product is homogeneous and the industry inverse demand function is given by this guy. And the market price in the Kurno-Nash equilibrium is equal to this. Now, this we have done in the classes also. This is the homogeneous cost structure wala case. So, in that case, your total quantity comes out to be n upon n plus 1, a minus c upon b. N kitna is 6. Just substitute the value. What is this? Is p is equal to a minus bq ना? a कितना है? 230। b कितना है? 1। नहीं, यही तो है बेटा, 1 × q। सो a कितना है? 230। b कितना है? 1। c कितना है? 20। योर कॉस्ट, तो दिस कम्स आउट टू बी 180। तो टोटल क्वांटिटी कितनी है? 180। तो p कितना होगा? 230 माइनस q, यही गिवन है ना। सो योर प्राइस कम्स आउट टू बी 50। राइट? प्राइस कम्स आउट टू बी 50। An economy produces a consumption good and also has a research sector which produces new ideas. Time is discrete and indexed by t equals to 0, 1, 2. The production function for the consumption good is given by this guy, and where AT is the stock of existing knowledge, LYT is the amount of the labor devoted to the production of consumption good, A naught is 1. The production function for the new ideas is given by this guy. LAT is the amount of labor devoted to the production of new ideas at time t. And suppose you are given LYT is the amount of the labor devoted to the production of consumption good. Okay? This is a Romer model which we have done already. LAT is 10 and LYT is 90. Then the growth rate of the consumption good at t equals to 50 is what? अब देखिए, आपको ये गिवन है YT equals to 80 LYT. ठीक है, आपको LYT की वैल्यू भी गिवन है 90. So I've got 90, 80. बहुत अच्छी बात है. Then this is the production function of the new ideas. हाँ जी, गिवन है. तो मैं इस 80 को नीचे लेके जा सकता हूँ? हाँ जी, लेके जा सकते हो. तो ये चीज क्या आ जाएगी? दिस इज व्हाट द ग्रोथ रेट इन ए. यस और नो? सो इट इज व्हाट 1/250 इंटू 80, सॉरी इंटू LAT. 80 तो आप नीचे ले गए ना, इंटू LAT. LAT की वैल्यू क्या गिवन है? 10. सो दिस कम्स आउट टू बी 0.04. तो मतलब ग्रोथ रेट इन 80 इज गिवन टू बी 4%. पहली बात सही बेटा, ये गिवन है ना, YT इज इक्वल टू 90, 80. दिस यू हैव फाउंड आउट. YT इक्वल्स टू 90, 80, ये तो गिवन है ना तुम्हारे को. हाँ. सो अगर अब मैं इसका ग्रोथ रेट निकालूं तो मैं इसे कैसे लिख सकता था? log of y is equal to log of 90 plus log of 80, and I take the time log derivatives. So this is going to be 0, it's being a constant, d log of y dt. So what is this? 1 upon y dy by dt is equal to 1 upon a dA by dt. So what is y dot by y equals? This is y dot by y, and dy by dt is y dot by y equals to dA by dt is a dot on a. Beta, you have already found out a dot by a is 4%. तो y dot by y भी क्या होगा? 4%. So जो मर्जी year हो, it doesn't matter. It is not going to matter. It will be 4% only. Right? In every period, it is going to grow at 4%. So it doesn't matter if t equals to 50. Consider the following ISLM model. The goods in the money market equations are given to you. Y is the national income, YD disposable income. Total tax rate equation is given to you. I is the interest rate, G is government expenditure, money supply is 950. भाई लिख दो y is equal to c plus I plus g. This is your you are given with this expression, so you can just substitute it, right? So YD की जगह I can write this. भाई YD की जगह मैं ये तो लिखूंगा ना y minus t. So that is what y minus 5 minus 0.2y. That's what we have written. And once I solve this, I get 386 plus 0.64y minus 100i. And this is the expression for LM curve. 750 plus 0.2y minus 260i is the money demand expression. 950 is the money supply. So this is the expression. So I think I can just solve 1 and 2. And the moment I'm going to solve 1 and 2, I'll be getting the equilibrium y, which is 1052.1. And the moment I have 1052.1, I can put this back in the tax rate equation, which is 5 plus zero point 0.2 y. Y की जगह I can write 1052.1. And this is going to be approximately 2015. Just have a look at this. The supply curve is given by P equals to 10 plus X plus zero point 0.1 X square, where P is the market price, X is the quantity of the goods supplied. The change in the producer surplus due to an increase in market price from 30 to 70 is what? So एक तो ये है, this is what my supply function is. पहली बात. When price is 30, I can find out the value of X. Right? So when price is 30, I can find out the value of X. It is just a quadratic equation. You can solve it and you'll get X as 10. When price is 70, I can get the value of X. Just put this back into the expression and you'll be getting the value of X as 20. So when price was this guy, 30, you guys tell me, what was the producer surplus? This was the producer surplus. No? This was the producer surplus. When price is 70, what is the producer surplus? This area is the producer surplus. Hmm? So what is the change in the producer surplus? This area. This area, right? This area. So I need to find this out. अब उसके लिए what we can do is I can find out what is P1 X1. So this entire rectangle, this one. ठीक है? What is P0 X0? देखिए मुझे A plus B find out करना है. This guy. Right? सो अगर मैं इस बड़े रेक्टेंगल में से छोटे रेक्टेंगल को माइनस कर देता हूं ना तो मेरे पास क्या आ जाएगा आई विल हैव दिस एरिया प्लस दिस एरिया राइट बट दिस इज नॉट द प्रोड्यूसर सरप्लस सो आई वांट टू गेट रिड ऑफ दिस एरिया मुझे आई वांट टू गेट रिड ऑफ दिस एरिया सो हाउ विल आई डू दैट हाउ विल आई डू दैट मैं ये जो पूरा चेंज आएगा ना दिस इज द चेंज P1 X1 70 इंटू 20 माइनस P0 X0 30 इंटू 10 ये एरिया है ये वाला इसमें से इस एरिया को माइनस करूंगा so I've used the integral for that. So this integral is showing you the area below the curve from 10 to 20. And once I have subtracted this area using different integrals from 20 to 20, I get this area, this one. You with me? हाँ बेटा ये वाला. So this is the change in producer surplus. There are two goods and there are two consumers A and B in a pure exchange economy. A and B have the Cobb-Douglas utility function of the form UA equals to 2x to the power 4 by 10 into y to the power 6 by 10. UB equals to x to the power 3 by 10, y to the power 7 by 10. Right? Okay. Initially, A is endowed with 50 units of x, 20 units of y. This is there. B is endowed with 50 units of x and 20 units of y. If the unit price of y is normalized to 1, okay, then what is the equilibrium price of good x? Simple. So you know how to solve this, right? So बेटा ये कॉप डगलस है ना दोनों. So अगर मान लीजिए ये मेरा कॉप डगलस फंक्शन है, इफ दिस इज माय कॉप डगलस फंक्शन, तो x का फंक्शन क्या होगा? अल्फा अपॉन अल्फा प्लस बीटा इनटू इनकम ऑफ ए अपॉन प्राइस ऑफ x. यही होगा ना? हम्म. अच्छा, दूसरे वाले फंक्शन में 0.3 y टू द पावर 0.7. x का क्या होगा डिमांड? 0.3 अपॉन 0.3 प्लस 0.7 into income of the consumer upon price of good X. ये होगा बेटा. इनकम ऑफ इंडिविजुअल ए क्या होगी? 50 P1 प्लस 20 P2 एंड P2 इज नॉर्मलाइज टू 1. इनकम ऑफ इंडिविजुअल बी क्या होगी? 50 P1 प्लस 20 P2, P2 इज नॉर्मलाइज टू 1, बस equal to the total supply. So this is the demand for X by individual 1. This is demand for X by individual 2 should be equal to total supply. And once I do that, I will be getting P1. I can just solve this expression. P1 is 0.22, right? P1 is 0.22. So we have normalized P2 equals to 1, right? Okay, so this is what I wanted to do in this recording. Thank you, Beta.